Hey everyone, John Hunter here from School of Trade. Today we're going to be taking a look at a wave pattern long here on the E-Mini Dow. Now, the first target's going to come off at 449, the second target is going to come off at 65, and then we're looking for a larger move up to 81. Now, the overall movement on the day, very range bound. We have just a huge range on the day. If you zoom out a little bit, you can see we really haven't gone anywhere, right? We're just kind of pinging back and forth. Now, on Friday, we had a huge burst higher, so it's not a big surprise, really, to see a little bit of a range. There are people getting into the move, hoping for another move up. There are people who are taking profit after the giant move on Friday, so we found a little bit of a balance. The buyers and sellers are agreeing in this area currently. Now, the overall move that we're kind of anticipating is a move back up to the high of day. And because this is a range, you could easily expand this final target out instead of 484 all the way up to the high of day at 530. Now, that 530 area, again, you know me, not a big fan of putting it right on the level. So 527 is that overall move back up. So essentially, we're just buying the lows of the range with a nice last chance wave pattern, and we're looking to ride this back up to the highs all the way potentially up to that 527 area. Now, because we're using such a large final target, we need to give this a little bit of room to work, right? So after we get that first target filled, I'm not going to be super interested in moving my stop rate to break even. And even the second target, you know, once we start getting the second target, then we can start continuing to look for reasons to try to lock our stop up. But this first target, that's just not enough given the move that we're trying to look for here. So normally I would lock my stop into break even after we hit that first target, after we break the high, you know, in that area. But because of the way that this is setting up, I'm not going to be super interested in, you know, locking my stop in too tight. I want to give this market some room to move. So we've got that first target filled from our entry point here to that first target. It's 22 ticks. The secondary target here all the way up to the next point at 65, it's going to be 38 ticks. And then the final move higher here up back to the highs of the range for 100 ticks even. Gotta love that big round 3-digit number, right? So if we can get this move up, we're looking at a large move up overall, 138 and 22. It's 160 ticks total possible on the move up. Now, I am trading this at a little bit smaller size because it's a range day. I'm not a big fan of loading up when it's a range day because a lot of times you're just going to be in and out and scalping. So because of that, 160 ticks, that's good enough for me. 160 ticks, if you're not familiar with the bond, I'm sorry, not the bonds, the Dow, 160 ticks as $5 a tick. So that's $800 on a move up with only 4 contracts on the Dow. So very small position size. You can still make a huge amount of money if we can get this move all the way back up to the highs. So just sitting on hands now, letting the market kind of sort itself out, see if we can push up to that 65 area for the next target. And once we get that push up, you know, if we start seeing this really go, you know, kind of take off, just like we had back here, if we see this kind of movement, then I would be absolutely happy moving my stop to break even and maybe even trying to trail it up with the move because, you know, this fell really strongly. We might rip right back up strongly. Look at the moves from back and forth to both sides of the range. Very aggressively bullish, very aggressively bearish. Now I'm looking for very aggressively bullish again, and we're just switching gears back and forth. So we'll give it a little bit of time here, see if we can get that next target filled at 65, and then see if we can get a big old run up to that 27 high. All right, so we're nearing our old entry area here, and a lot of times with these types of reversal moves, they'll like to come back and swing out the break-even traders. So I'm going to add another 4-contract lot. Given that this area of interest right here is very likely to be defended, I am more than happy adding on a couple extra to see if we can ride out a little bit more on this move up. So I'm going to drop another entry for 4 contracts at 427 to see if we can catch a little bit extra on the move here. I'm anticipating, especially since they broke the high, we're seeing them challenge the BMT. It's not really acting as much resistance here. There's a good chance that they're just coming back to that break-even point to basically wipe everyone out who got aggressive on their stop and then go right back up to the highs again. So I'm looking to add on another 4 here at 427, our original entry price, and then we're looking to basically scale in the same targets. So first target back off again there, and we'll stack up the other ones all the way up here. So we've got a double lot entry here, and just looking for a little bit of, I pulled the wrong one. We're looking for a little bit of extra continuation up to the upside, doubling up on this move higher. Mainly just because this is so common to see. They come back, they hit those stop evens, and then they shoot right back up again exactly where you thought it was going to go, especially on a range day. So I'm going to go along with that, assuming that it's going to be a failure, and I'll add on another 4 at 27. All right, we're pushing up into that first target again, 17,449, only a tick away here. I locked the stop in a little bit tighter. What we're seeing here on the market is just slight higher highs and higher lows. We're seeing a little bit of a trend form, and I don't want to see that broken down. So I want this market to continue to make higher highs and higher lows. So my stop is locked in here at 423, and now we're just kind of waiting for the rest of the ride up. 465, still looking for that area. And if it comes back again, I'm going to be less interested in adding on more. I really need to see this thing go on this move. I don't want to see it come back, so my stop is nice and tight, and we have a ton of upside potential here. Just need to see a little bit more follow through. All right, pushing into the last target there, just got it filled at 65, 2 more contracts off there, and we're going to keep going along with this move. Again, I don't really want to see a swing low broken, so we're going to go along with those until we can start seeing that movement continuing up, and now we're locked into a profitable position, and we have a huge amount of upside potential up to 17,527. There's 2 contracts left on the table. We've gotten 2 off at our first target at 22, 2 off at 38, actually a couple extras inside there, and then we're looking for a little bit more all the way up to that 7,527. So we'll give it a little bit more time here, and we'll see if we can get that move all the way back up. It may take a little bit of time, right? We have been seeing aggressive buying pressure into aggressive selling pressure, so it wouldn't be a surprise just to see go ripping all the way up to the highs again, but never anticipate that, right? You always want to assume it's going to take longer than you expect. So we'll leave our stop where it is, we'll trail up where we can, and we'll look for that final target at 527. All right, and as anticipated, we're seeing a very aggressive rip higher. I've got my stop locked in very, very tight. Because this move has been so parabolic to the upside, I don't want to see any negative movement against this type of move. So yeah, that does mean that I might get whipped out a little bit early, but I'm going to lock in everything that this will give me currently. With such a massive move higher, I've got no interest in giving anything back. So we've got the stop locked in at 17,511, looking for another push up here to get that 527, only a couple ticks away now. We're up 95 ticks so far. Just need a little bit more. Need that market to show just a little bit more oomph to the upside here. Nearing in on that 27 though, and this is kind of what we were looking for. That's why if you're paying attention to what the market is doing, you can get clues on what to expect. Oh, 1 tick away, lock the stop in nice and tight here. Now, what I mean by that is we were so aggressively bullish and then so aggressively bearish. It's anticipated to see it go very aggressively bullish again. They're just cycling back and forth. They're racing to one side or the other of the range, and as soon as they get there, they fade right back. And there we go. We got it filled. Beautiful move up. Huge move, especially on the Dow at $5 a tick. We're up $1,820 on the trade. Now again, at $5 a tick, that's 364 ticks overall, and an absolutely beautiful example of how managing a trade and knowing what the market is telling you can really lead into some huge profits. Even on the Dow at $5 a tick, you can put away a good chunk of change. So that's going to do it for me. Last chance wave pattern in a beautiful ride higher, $1,820, 364 ticks on the trade. If you have any questions about it, feel free to shoot an email to School of Trade. Don't forget to check out our trial at schooloftrade.com. And as always, we'll catch you next time.